Hey there, my name's Curtis Lucas and you're watching Empire Building. In this episode, we're going to be talking about some exciting developments in the roadmap towards the merge and a final launch of the Ethereum 2.0 blockchain. As many of you know, I run a validator on the Beacon chain, so I'm very much tuned into the latest developments of what's going on in this transition that we're about to witness. So if you really want to get the latest updates and the most detailed information about what's happening, what's going to happen, how it's going, and some of those more subtle technical details that'll help you have a better understanding of what Ethereum is, how it functions, and what really makes it so unique when comparing it to other blockchains that are attempting to compete with it, then you need to subscribe to this channel. And while you're at it, hit the like button. I haven't done a whole lot of Ethereum content, but that is going to change as things progress. I know a lot of people who watch this channel do so for the Bitcoin mining content. That's also going to continue. But there's just too much happening in the Ethereum space that I have to be talking about this. So this is the big announcement. The Ethereum Merge testnet launched over the weekend. And this all happened very, very quickly. I didn't even have time to prepare or set up. I have to make a few adjustments to my own setup. But this is what they're telling us now. Like the Ethereum mainnet, Kiln's execution layer was launched under proof of work in parallel to a beacon chain. That's the current setup that we are currently operating under with Ethereum 1 and the Ethereum 2 beacon chain, two chains running in parallel. And the merge actually happened on the Kiln testnet on March 15th. Yesterday. So the network is now running entirely under proof of stake. It was a successful transition, according to this. Kiln is expected to be the last merge testnet created before existing public testnets are upgraded. Application and tooling developers, node operators, infrastructure providers, and stakers are strongly encouraged to test on Kiln to ensure a smooth transition to existing public testnets. There's a lot of interesting, fascinating information in this article. I highly recommend if you are actively invested or interested in Ethereum, read through this. Some of it might be a little bit technical, but there was some very fascinating information that was revealed while I was reading through this. Under stakers, it says, as explained above, validators on the beacon chain will need to run an execution layer client after the merge. Pre-merge, this was strongly recommended, but it was possible for validators to outsource these functions to third-party providers. This was possible because the only data required on the execution layer were updates to the deposit contract. And I have to shamefully admit that I am one of these people. I don't run a full Ethereum node on my own that my validator points to. I utilize a third party. That third party is Infura. And I recognize I was fully made aware that this wasn't best practice, but also in my defense, when I was setting my validator up, there was a lot of information out there that suggested you did not need a massive hard drive installed on your machine. Even Vitalik made it sound like a 500 megabyte hard drive would be sufficient. And it is, so long as you're not running an entire Ethereum full node. The Ethereum blockchain is big. To my knowledge, it's the biggest blockchain there is, and it gets bigger all the time. They're trying to do a lot of things to try to help alleviate that over the next few years. But as it stands right now, yeah, my hard drive is just not going to cut it. So I ordered a new one, and I'm going to be making these adjustments so that I'm better suited when this finally takes place. I don't want to be slashed once the merge happens and for whatever reason, blocks that I try to propose don't meet the consensus rules. Post-merge, validators need to ensure that transactions in the blocks they create and attest to are valid. To do so, an execution layer client is required. And this is the interesting part. While this expands validators' responsibilities, it also gives the validator who proposes a block the right to its associated transaction priority fees, which currently go to miners. And this is something that I was obviously fully aware of, and it's one of the developments that I'm most excited when it finally takes place. When that happens, the rewards to validators is going to go up substantially. On average, approximately 3 times what they are now. But what I didn't know was this. While validator rewards accrue on the beacon chain and will require a subsequent upgrade to be withdrawn, transaction fees will continue to be paid, burned, and distributed on the execution layer. Validators can thus specify any Ethereum address as a recipient for transaction fees. This means that the validators will actually start being able to collect income for the blocks that they propose, even though we cannot withdraw from the beacon chain itself. This is something that was not known to us before this article came out. Kiln is the perfect environment for existing stakers to familiarize themselves with the post-merge Ethereum context. We recommend trying to mirror your production setup on the network and ensuring that you work through any issues now. This is obviously what I'm going to be doing. There's way too much at stake here, pun intended, to be taking any chances. And having a dress rehearsal is certainly something that can go a long way, ensuring that when real money is online at stake, that you're not having those problems then. Under frequently asked questions, obviously the big one, when merge? This is what they have to say. A date for the Ethereum mainnet proof of stake transition has not been set as of the publication of this post. Any source claiming otherwise is likely to be a scam. Updates will be posted on this blog. Please stay safe. Assuming no issues are found with Kiln, once clients have finalized the details of their implementations, the existing Ethereum testnets will run through the merge. Once these have successfully transitioned and stabilized again, assuming no issues are found, a difficulty value will be set for the mainnet transition. Only then will it be possible to estimate the exact date for the merge. So this is the key thing we're going to be looking for. What's interesting about this, and a lot of people don't fully understand, I'm going to get a little technical here, but oftentimes when dealing with any hard fork or upgrade to the chain, that's done so by selecting a specific block at which this upgrade will occur. But with an upgrade where you're literally completely shifting the consensus mechanism from proof of work to proof of stake, this is way too risky because especially on Ethereum, you have what's called as block reorganizations that happen quite frequently. So if you select a specific block for that upgrade to occur on, and that happens to get reorganized, then we've got a serious problem, which could lead to any number of negative outcomes. So to prevent this, instead of selecting a specific block, they instead tied it to the difficulty. When the difficulty reaches a specific determined amount, then that will drive the transition into proof of stake, because that is a physical constant that won't be or cannot be manipulated. And in case you were wondering, if you are an Ethereum holder, through this transition, there's absolutely nothing that you need to do. If all goes well, you won't even notice anything happened. And one more thing I should point out is that a lot of people are expecting that somehow the merge, the switch to proof of stake is going to lower transaction fees. I'm sorry to announce or report that that is not going to be the case. The merge or transition to proof of stake will have little to no impact on transaction fees. The only thing that's going to change is that miners will be replaced with validators. Now, that will increase the efficiency of the blockchain because miners have a tendency to mine empty blocks from time to time. That will not happen with validators. So it should increase the overall capacity of the blockchain by roughly 12%. But again, that's not going to lead to any notable change in transaction fees. If anything, we'll probably see an increase in transaction fees as demand for the network will probably go up by substantially more than just 12%. But there is a whole lot more to keep track of between now and then. But this was an exciting development, and it makes it pretty clear that we are on the cusp of this finally taking place. As I continue to follow closely and get my own setup configured on this testnet, I'll share any details that I find as that process continues. I've been hearing in the community that there have been some issues with the consensus layer, minor perhaps, but again, I'm still working through getting myself set up. So once that's done, I'll know a whole lot more about what's really going on. That's it for this one. Now let's get back to empire building.